Hey, welcome back, my friends. I'm still sending and have been sending you guys lots of love, peace, strength, and healing. I'm a couple of days late of putting the sacred secretion times out. They're at the end of the video, so if you want to go ahead and skip ahead and go to the end, go ahead. I highly suggest that you resist the urge and listen to what I have to say, but do you, everybody, do you. I've used the time that I've taken off to literally practice what I have been preaching for these past few years, and in actually doing some more work, a lot of clarity and stability of my mind and my emotional state has come in. During my time off, I've thoroughly removed and released deeply rooted beliefs, thought patterns, and all people who are within my inner sphere. Family, friends, people who are close. I guess I've really just allowed myself time to reassess and reevaluate where I've been, where I am, and where I wish to go. Basically, I guess my true or my authentic self, and what I want and what I can accomplish in the remaining days that I have here. I'm probably gonna do a lot of deep breaths throughout this because I'm still everything's really fresh, and I feel like a little baby fawn. I feel like a little baby fawn who just stood up, and my legs are weak. But after receiving all of the mental and emotional stability because of the work that I've done since I've been gone, the inner sphere and the stuff that I had to deal with, my mind became transfixed on the world all around me, the outer sphere, and the chaos that just seems to increase every day. I've had a few people in the personal sphere, as well as several people via the YouTube channel, who have come and told me that what I've been saying over the past, before I took my little respite, was because I was trapped. Cathy, I was trapped in fear, and then I was projecting all of my fear out through the channel to everyone else to keep them entrapped in Cathy's, in my fear. And that's in reference to the extreme religious ideology and hypocrisy, the extreme civil unrest with racial and just equality on all levels, and especially the COVID issue. So people in my personal sphere, and lots of people who claim to be hashtag woke, or spiritual people, have come and point a finger at me and say that I just need to stop because it's not real, quote unquote. It's not real. This is just a script that we're all going by, it's not real, it's just a simulation. You know, we are living in a simulation. You know, so I guess basically what they were trying to tell me is like, this is just a video game. And as long as I personally am okay, don't worry about any of the outer sphere stuff that's going on. And I thought to myself, okay, like if we're going to go with the simulation theory and say that this is all just like a video game, which, I mean, yes, I agree with that theory, but only like halfway. Everything is mental, everything is like a simulation. But as for the people who are saying that like this is just a simulation, so don't even get caught up in all of the stuff that's going on, you know, out there, if we're gonna go with the video game analogy, that's like you know, picking your character and getting on the first level, or okay, who cares how many levels you're at, say that you're halfway through, because right, you're hashtag woke, and you think that you're at the top or good enough, I guess. So there you are, and you're at this level, and what? Like, are you just gonna go to the corner with your character, like take your avatar and go into the corner, facing the corner, and like jump up and down in the corner until the time runs out on the game? Like, is that what you mean? Like, this is all just a game, so just let the time run out and, you know, it'll be over, because why even do anything about it? Like, no, that doesn't seem right, because time will elapse, and the game will have to be restarted, and you'll wake up and you'll be still in that same corner, on that same level, still jumping up and down, and no movement. So I disagree with all of that and say that we're not supposed to look to the outer and see, you know, and deal with that as well. You can't, it's kind of just like floating up. Like just, oh no, if you're spiritual, you're good. It's like floating up in the air and not having any ties whatsoever to ground yourself. And, yeah, so I disagree. I disagree with that a lot. And I had to closely evaluate why I have been so adversely affected by the recent, like this past year specifically. And I kept, you know, thinking fear. They're saying that I'm spreading fear. But as soon as I hear that they think that I'm spreading fear, I feel anger. And definitely I'm not trying to spread fear. I'm not afraid at all, because in my opinion all of this can be taken care of by you are what you eat, physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, all of that. Everything that you consume and that you are a part of, that's how healthy you're going to be. So, no, I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid that I'm going to catch COVID and die. I'm not afraid that some big mob of people's going to come and kill me or bum rush into my place. I'm not afraid that some religious people are going to come and kill me. Like, I'm not afraid at all. I'm angered at the willful ignorance and the complete lack of empathy for anyone, or regard for anyone or anything other than themselves or their own group. I'm angered at that, and that's good. People were making me feel bad because saying, you know, oh, well, angry, you're in a dark spot, Cathy. No, you are supposed to be angry at the stuff that's bad. Bad you should be angry at. Happy with good, angry with bad. Yes. So I'm not afraid. I'm angry that all of the other people are in fear, and it's making them be willfully ignorant and try to protect, like, you know, me against the world, thrive or die, you know, you know, fight or flight. It's those people who are coming in and telling me that I'm spreading fear. They're the ones that are in fear. I'm angry at that, not at them, but for that mentality and that way of just like a 5-year-old with their fingers in their ears, You know, la la la, can't hear you, me. And all of it is lending way to people, i.e. the ego, the super huge ego portion of people, believing honestly 110% with all of their fiber, of every fiber of their being, believing and doing insanely crazy things, like abnormally huge uptick in emotionally driven, deep emotionally driven, delusional thinking. Guys, this is like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, kind of whole different level crazy. And I just thought, why? Why so incredibly crazy? And then, of course, Bible verses came into my head, and I heard, and there were lights put in the expanse, and they were used for seasons and signs and days and years. And I thought, the outer spheres, exactly. What are the outer what are these planets doing? Yes. I realized that we're in the middle of a flood. That's what's happening, guys. I'm calling it and dubbing it the Great Flood of 2020, though it did start in 2012. But we're a little bit more than halfway through, and that's exactly what's going on. The Great Deluge. Watery, emotional, mind, delusions. Immediately, all of the work that I was doing on Pistis Sophia, the people who are following along with that, sorry, traffic in the background. Yeah, immediately things really started to come together like a puzzle picture. All the puzzle pieces started to come together. And I thought about the Pistis Sophia studies, and exactly why I was drawn to it, and exactly why the one that we're hitting on August the 17th is the one that I was drawn to. I want to say ironically, but it was just that my lower self wasn't aware, so it wasn't irony. It's meant to be. But this August 17th that I've been speaking about in Pistis Sophia, each one of the 5 cycles has a name or a title that's attached to it. And the one that we're in is called the Parahedron Typhoon. And if you go and you trace the etymology back into the Latin and see what everything works out to be, para means, you know, like parallel, right alongside. Two things right up next to each other, okay? Hedron is a geometrical shape that has a certain number of plane or flat faces. So that's a two-sided object. A two-sided object. And a typhoon, we all know what a typhoon is. A typhoon is a hurricane, a cyclone, whatever you want to call it, that occurs from the water, out in the water. A typhoon specifically is a tropical storm that forms like below, so many degrees below the equator. I'm not putting all of that information in, but the gist of it is the 2 sides or the 2 faces of the tropical storm, and you know what hurricanes and typhoons do. They get all of their power from the air, from the winds, and the water, and then they come ashore to quote-unquote the land or the earth and destroy it. So definitely Pistis Sophia thing all adds together, and it also, a lot of other things start to make much more sense now. So much more sense. Neptune is in Pisces, that's the last house of that cycle of the zodiac. That's its home. It's the strongest there. It has all to do with your mind. Smoke and mirrors, it's Pisces, confusion, two sides of everything. And that's exactly what's happening. Everyone is either on the side of the illusion, and they can only see that one side. But if you're on the opposite side of it, you know the true side and the illusory side. So that's what's happening. But the thing is both sides, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, deep within them, think and believe and know that what they believe and think is correct. So lots of smoke and mirrors happening. And again, the water theme, a whole bunch of scriptures just, pun intended, flooded through my mind. And I thought, in the last days I will pour out my spirit. And then another one, good for evil, evil for good, bitter for sweet, sweet for bitter, and in the end days. And in the end days, I will pour my spirit, pour my spirit out and send them strong delusions that they may believe in a lie. What's another? Oh, meat for men, milk for babes. Woe to those who give suck in the last days. Yeah. These are the last days of the flood cycle. 2012, we have like 5 more years, but I'm going to show you all of that. But everything really makes a lot of sense. Why Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and just free for all. And why I personally have been so emotionally affected by this. And if you are a water sign, if you are a Cancer, a Pisces, or a Scorpio, or if your rising is that, or if your Venus is that, or if your North Node is that, or if you have strong placements in those, I mean, everybody's feeling this, but especially if you are of a water sign, you are literally feeling this. You guys, we're in the middle of a flood. Please trust me. Please trust. I know a great deal of the things which I speak. Neptune is at home in Pisces. April, it's decided if you go on the tropical or if you go on the sidereal calendar time again. But at any rate, 2011, 2012 is when this cycle began, Neptune's cycle. It takes 165 years to complete. It is now in Pisces at home at its greatest strength, and it's the last stop. So, like, it's in the quote-unquote end days. Woe to those who give suck. Also, when I was putting together all of the this information, I also realized that it was more of a flood than I had actually thought, because also Mercury, all to do with our minds and our thoughts, again, water, all mind. Mercury retrograded through all 3, or does go through all 3 water signs in 2020. Retrogrades, I mean, stops and then goes backwards. So we've already been through the Pisces and the Cancer. Not unless, of course, you're going by sidereal and we're still in Cancer, which to me makes sense. But at any rate, we still have one more to go, and that's Scorpio. And this only happens once every 6 years. So this will repeat again, the retrograde, the mind retrograde, flooding through the waters, while it's in a water sign, to go retrograde in 2026. You need to jump in the boat and protect yourself from the storm. I'm telling you that there's a flood, whether you believe me or not. this is going to explain a little bit better why. On the light side, Neptune and Pisces associated with kindness and generosity, empathy, a great understanding of others, being deeply emotional, long-suffering, tolerant, very much really, really good on their intuitive skills. They listen to others, comfort them, and give them life-altering, precious advice. Neptune in Pisces is absolutely enamored with everything that's mystical, not earthly. Everything that's out of the world, mysterious, the unknown, spiritual realm. Very spiritual, great imaginations, a big interest in metaphysics, dreams, psychology, and all of this really makes a lot of sense because this began 2012. That's exactly when I started having that nautical dream. Anybody who's been following me, it's on the channel about dreams. But wow, no wonder I was getting such vivid dreams. As a matter of fact, last year I got one really quick, and I jumped into this big dark pool of water, and I heard a loud voice say, "But you still have some clothes on." And I said, "I can swim." And it just went, and I was like, ugh. So still had some clothes to take off at the time. On the shadow side, bad sides of Neptune and Pisces make one delusional and lost between the truth and reality. That mirror, that two-sided parahedron towards the dark and mystical forces. And they always are in need to dig deeper into stuff, but not in a good direction. Wormholes, brain worms, which are very much lead to wormholes. They're at risk of a lot of addictions, not just chemical, but also people. Addictions to people and places and things, actions, deeds, thoughts. People portraying the shadow side of Neptune and Pisces cannot channel the incredibly deep, watery, emotional energy very well, so they become very gullible and easily seduced by harmful or dangerous ideology that either they themselves were indoctrinated with or that they pick up from other people, their family, friends, or media, i.e. that COVID doesn't exist, or that masks will kill you, or that, for goodness sakes, our president actually said that he agrees with a woman that said that masturbation will get you pregnant. Demon seeds. Yeah, all of that. Believing in all of that. Now, Mercury, again, to double down on the watery thing, when it turns retrograde in the water sign, it's an opportunity to rethink old habits, patterns, and emotional responses. Again, we need to rewind, review, and release that which does not serve our greater good. That's the retrograde, the chance to go back. In water, it's the best time to analyze our patterns based on inherited psychological traits, what we were brought up with, cultural stuff. The house that contains 3 water signs tends to present situations in which one has to learn, it skipped ahead, where we have to learn to resist from overreacting from an emotional standpoint or underreacting from an emotional standpoint in an anxiety way. Hidden and unspoken messages in the environment point towards that which requires attention, and often one becomes more sensitive to the core, the center of the issue, and our innermost feelings and emotions on those subjects or the people who surround, like I was saying earlier, the people and the things within my inner sphere that affect me the most greatly. All of this Mercury is communication. Cancerian vibes can make you super emotional. That's me. Hey, Mercury, Gemini, Cancer cusp. Super emotional and pulling your focus towards your past, your upbringings, again, cultural stuff and family stuff, and how both affect your person and who you are now. Focus is on releasing the past, anger, fear, abandonment, resentment, from the past and the present, and release those people, emotions that no longer serve you in your future growth and abundance. And then we need to get ready, us water signs, and prepare for new relationships, and only accept ones that are equally balanced, mind, body, spirit, and soul. Like, don't be unequally twained together. Water is an element that preserves. It preserves all things physical and abstract. Memory is a special territory of the water element, and all the water signs represent our emotional state and the memories attached to it. In Pisces, it represents the greatest depth of our memories and our psychological markings, whether good, bad, indifferent, whereas Scorpio tends to represent the everlasting and embedded memories that tend to become a reason for our character or essence. Pisces tells us about those psychological. During this period of time, the message is sent by our subconscious mind in the form of dreams and visions and synchronicities and all the abstract happenings. Take a very strong connection. We need to pay attention to dream analysis, and everything that we dream and we're thinking about, we need to write it all down so that we can go back and evaluate it later. My dreams are coming back, but I can't seem to, by the time that I open my eyes, it's gone, even though I know that I'm waking up and I'm trying to say, remember it, but, you know, you can only do what you can do. I guess it's not time for me to figure out whatever I've been dreaming so intensely. At any rate, as it's said in all of the books of the Vedas and the philosophical books, not a leaf falls without a cause. Everything happens for a reason. So during this retrograde phase of Mercury and all of the water signs, we are meant to carefully observe the events of the unspoken and spoken processes that occur instinctively and unplanned. Become aware of our emotional issues that have remained unresolved for all of this past time. As I said, this won't occur, this retrograde, Mercury in retrograde, sitting in the water signs, it's not going to happen for another 6 years. In fact, it correlates with the end of the Great Flood period, the 14 years worth of flooding from 2012 to 2026. But, yes, rewind, review, release. Everything and everyone does not serve your highest purpose. Use the energies that are there now, or you will get stuck in a perpetual cycle and just have to do it all over again. Don't do that. Don't do that. Now, although I didn't touch on this video about how 2020 is a karmic year, Saturn and Pluto conjunction, Saturn, karma, Pluto, death and rebirth. This is it. Like, this is your time to end those karmic cycles. You're finished. Don't hang in. Don't hang in longer than you're supposed to, or else you're going to get caught again. And like I said, even though I did not touch on that, that has a lot to do with everything. It adds to and makes more sense. I'm going to show you a few correlations between Neptune and Pisces, what's happened in the past. It's always a time for us to like change our ways and do things and find a dip, but it seems that history does indeed repeat itself. So here's just a few correlations of the negative aspects of Pisces, or Neptune in Pisces, that 165-year trip. Yeah, the negative things, that's all I'm pointing out, because all of the positive things, I'm not trying to make things look all flowery and whatever. Everybody needs to go within and clean themselves. This is all about being clean, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And I I honestly think that no evil thing could harm you if you were in that vibration. So, Neptune and Pisces, historical synchronicities. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Yep. History repeats itself. The Black Death, 1347 to 1352, is the most infamous plague outbreak of the medieval world, unprecedented and unequaled to the 1918-1919 flu pandemic in the modern age. Until now, 2020 COVID-19, the cause of the plague was unknown, and in accordance with general understanding of the Middle Ages, was attributed to supernatural forces and primarily the will or the wrath of the Almighty. And true enough, but not the way that everybody thinks. God, yes, but not the sky God image that you have. The next one is the Justinian plague of 541. All of these are Neptune and Pisces. One of the deadliest pandemics in history. It resulted in the death of an estimated 25 to 100 million people during the 2 centuries of the occurrence. It was similar to the Black Death and also came from the east, in the perihedron typhoon, Neptune and Pisces. In his book Secret History, Procopius describes the symptoms of the plague of Justinian as including delusions, nightmares, fevers, and swelling in the groin, armpits, and behind the ears. It's because it was of bubonic origins. The suffering for some would last days, and others, death came almost immediately after symptoms first appeared. And during that time, I watched a whole bunch of documentaries about these zealots that formed groups and started to flog themselves. They just started going up and down the streets and beating themselves to a pulp with whips and little bits of stuff. You know what? They succumb. They succumb now. Let me tell you this. I want to go off for a second. The Justinian plague. I don't mean to laugh because it's just craziness and you know, Neptune and Pisces. But the Justinian thing, yeah, they were so I'll say hell-bent on thinking that the sky god image that they was angry that if they didn't punish themselves physically, that Sky Daddy was going to do it, and if they did it themselves, that Sky Daddy would give them a pass, and it would be all okay. Which, in theory, again, it's like a mirrored thing. Yes, if you do sacrifice yourself and crucify, quote-unquote, crucify the flesh, yes, quote-unquote, God will, pass over and be, you're all good and you're safe. But it's not what people think. My point is even those religious zealots back in the day, they started off being like really pious and religious and, oh, it's because of us and we're sorry and we're beating themselves and bleeding. Well, eventually, you know what happened? A whole bunch of women started following those guys. They started getting, they started saying, oh, your guys are so great and you're so worthy and you're so holy. And then somehow before those zealots were done and over with, they were drinking and partying and hoeing it up. Oh, many apologies. My phone was ringing. Beethoven was going off. I forgot to put it on silent before I started recording. Yeah, but those zealots, they began a little bit of yeast, right? Leaven's the whole lump. They had a following, and people were talking about how great and pious they were, and they totally flipped script, and like I said, started hoeing it up and drinking, and then they were breaking into places that had been abandoned. They were like basically looting, and the religious people looting everybody's, the richer people that had left the area for quote-unquote higher ground or to get away from the populace, whatever the thing was. But they totally flipped script and turned into drunkards and a bunch of women sex parties and stealing other people's stuff. So, yeah, I just had to take a second, because I actually did a whole bunch of reading, and I watched a few documentaries. It was really intriguing. Alright, the third instance that I'm going to post, another bubonic plague outbreak, started in the east somewhere, and led to more than 12 million deaths in India and China, with about 10 million killed in India alone. See, every time that I'm going to turn it on, I... Focus. The two major plague pandemics began with the plague of Justinian and the Black Plague, or the Black Death. The most recent so-called third plague, or the third pandemic, this one erupted in 1855 in the Chinese province of Yunnan. The disease traversed the globe over the next several decades, and by the beginning of 20th century infected rats traveling on steamships and had carried it to all 6 inhabited areas. Sorry again, everything's just not working. I swear to you that I'm believing that Mercury is in retrograde. I'm gonna go with sidereal time. Okay, again, focus. I'm sorry, you guys. Third disease. Okay, yeah, the third and the final one. All of these, Neptune and Pisces. This is the 1855 one. And I'm telling you what, this one was extremely religious and extremely crazy. Like, what's going on? This is like when they thoroughly believed that, it was witches, black cats, and, they killed all the black cats, which didn't really help the flea population with the rats, because then they got more and more. But at any rate, all the religious people totally believed that, again, God, the apocalypse was coming, and it was because of, evil, demonic forces, and, like all of the craziness that's going on currently. All 3 of these things, Neptune and Pisces, and I didn't document it, but I know at least one of them was during the retrograde in all 3 water signs, 5 or 6 year cycle, at least one of them, if not 2. So, yeah, you guys, seriously, don't drown in your own delusions. Don't suffer for an additional 5 more years. Break the chains of ignorance now. Take shelter. Go deep within and heal yourself. Reject the darkness and seek the light. Seek the light within. Now I'm going to go ahead and give you guys your sacred secretion timeline. I love you all, sending you all mass strength, healing, light, peace. It's all up to you, you guys. Don't suffer for an additional 5 more years. I'm serious when I say everything within me tells me that around the 17th or the 18th, like a dam is going to be loosened, and the delusions and the lunacy is just going to go full throttle for those who don't want to seek light and like the darkness. But then on the other hand, to give you some light, those who have been seeking the light and have diligently been, doers and not hearers of the word, you will also have a floodgate opened unto you. But those will be healing waters, refreshing waters. Much more clarity is coming in. Dreams, visions, connections, synchronicities will become very much increased here after the 17th or the 18th. So, yeah, I love you guys so much. Please subscribe if this is your first time, and if it's your first time, I apologize for all of my ranting. You can go back and and see exactly what I think or what I'm talking about when I'm talking about it, please do hit the like button and share on your social media, because it helps immensely for the YouTube algorithm to pick it up. I do not, and I will not, have the ads and monetize the channel. So donations and likes and shares are the only way that the channel exists and persists. And actually at this time, if anyone is able to donate, it's really, really needed, you guys. I mean, everybody's aware that there's a pandemic and work and money is really lacking right now. But I literally haven't had any PayPal donations for like a couple of months straight, and I know that's because of what's happening. And I want to shout out to my 3 Patreons. I did lose one, but I don't think it's because they didn't agree with me. I just think that that person is struggling greatly, and I send you love and peace and strength, and I hope that your situation gets better and increases. I do want to say thank you to the 3 Patreon members that I have that have stuck with me throughout. You guys have been more helpful than you know. Thanks, you guys. Enjoy. Love yourselves and love each other. Peace.